Penny does not like getting in the car. She doesn't want anything to do with getting in the car. But Scamper, he wants to go everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like have the door open, taking groceries out or whatever.
Good about yourself.
Come on, he's sitting. He likes to sit in the driver's seat with his balls on the wheel. So like when I'm driving down the road in my truck, he'll sit on the console between the seats.
I'm not minding it really either. Don't leave the keys in the car.
Yeah. Oh no, like if UPS guy comes,
Because I'm already watering something.
we had to run out one
My
day
front
and
yard's
started
already
UPS guys. We're like, wait a minute.
And it's gonna
We're
stay forever.
Scamp, and we
Yeah,
went down.
no, I won't, I don't.
Stop,
want
stop,
my
stop, stop. He
lawn,
stops
but I
Scamp,
do
and
have
just
some
sitting in the back of the truck.
flowers.
Yeah, that's no, you're staying here.
It would have been the next delivery.
Yeah.
Say the word walk or ride in our house.
Good morning. Yeah. You say car, and Scamp is at the door.
Top of the morning to you.
Good morning, Matt.
How you doing?
Scamp's at the door, and Penny's hiding. Morning, Mike, how's it going?
Good.
Seeing you the other night.
Morning, Mike.
Jackie.
Good to see you. Morning,
Morning, Lance.
Good morning, Mike.
Hello,
Are we
hello.
gonna have time to sit down afterwards, or?
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
This is the only member of the board I have today, and I know you did some.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Robin.
Robin. There's Megan.
Okay.
I gave my envelope back to you, Megan.
I saw that, thank you.
Reuse. This thing's expensive.
Look on mine and gone.
Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah, summer's kind of staying there.
Well, my watch says 9:30, that one looks like it's close enough to 9:30, so I think we'll call this meeting to order. This is a special workshop, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll get this meeting going.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, let the record show that we have two board members missing, Mr. Allen and Ms. Johnson. And we don't have any special guests here. And first item here is the approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda or modifications to it.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Henderson made the motion to approve the agenda, second by Mr. Hanold, excuse me, Rick. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Megan? Passes, okay. Board workshop agenda item number 1. Megan, the agenda has been approved. Thank you. Unanimously. And Mr. Nortier, you want to take on with item number 1, the update of the Everett Connector, the reinstatement fare implementation process, including research on monthly passes with possible action.
So as we did the public committee meetings for the board, one of the requests we heard from a number of folks, both president of the meeting and certainly an email, was there an option for us to consider some kind of either receipt system or monthly pass? And that was largely focused on employers that would reimburse employees for their transit. So the cash basis that we initially established with the policy certainly wouldn't do that. I'm going to let Sean kind of walk through the brief, but we consider a number of options, and we think we have some reasonable options that are low cost that would offer employees that use that transit service and incentivize a little bit to use that service and then seek reimbursement from employers.
Want the lights out? Technical difficulties.
Yeah, TV's on.
For sure it's on?
Mhm.
The light is on,
The
yeah,
light's on.
so.
Okay, here.
Hard copies too, Sean.
Um,
Hard copy, I've got one.
I've got a hard copy. Yeah.
All right, why don't you just walk through the hard copy?
Okay.
We get Gail one.
Hmm?
We get Gail one. She's what?
So we'll do the hard copy. So the members of the public, when we had the meeting on Coupeville for the Everett Connector, were requesting that Island Transit provide a method for reimbursement for those employees by their employer. Some of those employees were the City of Everett, Snohomish County, Providence Hospital, and Everett Community College. And those folks are the employees. That's not actually where they're going. Those are the ones that work there that are requesting the reimbursement. So what is a reimbursement plan? It's a plan that's designed so the employer can reimburse the employee for bus travel expenses on a monthly basis. So these plans are also targeted at promoting the following areas: health and wellness, to reduce parking congestion, to reduce vehicles on the road. And it's also a financial incentive to the employees.
Can I ask a question real quick, Andrew? With these reimbursement plans, just I'm curious, because when I was reading through this the other day, do they also reimburse for people when they're using like the van pool? They will?
It's not just what we focus on bus.
That's good to know, because that could also maybe incentivize more people to use the van pool as well, because that's a pretty good. Okay, thank you.
So we looked at several different options to try to figure out how we could make this happen, because we had kind of talked about we were not going to do transfers and those type of things. And so, you know, we looked at a receipt machine. And so basically what that would do is provide the operator a way of handing someone a receipt when they pay. But that would be, you know, every time someone paid, they would get a receipt. They'd have to collect a bundle of receipts and turn those in for reimbursement. And we figured that that wouldn't be the best way to go, and especially given the fact of timing on the schedule and things like that. So we looked at a business card receipt, where a way the operator would hand out daily receipt to customers after depositing fare would be just a business card. And again, that, you know, kind of would affect timing, and that would be an operator, you know, given a receipt every single time someone pays to get on the bus. And then there was an Island Transit monthly pass, and so the monthly pass would be that someone could pay for a pass that we would provide, and it would be on Coupeville at the facility only right now. And also Everett Transit, we kind of had some conversations with them, and the idea came up that maybe they could sell some of those passes at Everett Station. And so one of the things with that would be the accounting between agencies, and not knowing how many passes we're talking about right now, and, you know, there being a possible fee for them to do that for us. We didn't think that that was the route to go at this time. We also talked about paying for those passes online at some point as well. And so we have Vanpool that, you know, currently is using the program to where you can go in and pay your fees online. And so we were hoping that we could kind of, you know, mirror something like that for the monthly pass. Vanpool's going to be changing up their program. I believe it's like August 1st as a requirement. And so if we were to do that right now and promote the online pass, then all of a sudden we would have to come back in August and say, hey, we gotta change this up. And so we didn't think that that was the best thing at this time.
So just to kind of recap a couple of things, so as Sean mentioned, I think Everett Transit and the online payments are things that we can consider in the future. Right now, we just truly don't know what the demand is. So those are options, I think, that offer some future capability. The van pool online payment system, as Sean said, has to transition to 1st of August, so it certainly doesn't make sense to do anything prior to that, prior to the transition to a new system. So we'll hold off on those and just consider the in-house portion for the moment.
I just had a question. Why not have the employer purchase the pass for those employees that are going to utilize the service? I mean, wouldn't that be the simplest? Rather than tracking each day they used it, if I didn't work tomorrow, I'm not going to get reimbursed. Here, the employer saying, yep, we'll take care of it.
That's a decent idea, and right now, with the structure we have set up, there's nothing to prevent the employer from buying the passes directly. Because we're just going to sell the passes at the communal office to anyone that would really be interested in buying them. So.
We would have to urge the employers to go along with this system of providing it to their employees that are going to be using it. I mean, unless we really get out and market it to them. And how do we know, if they're not going to do that, that the employee would be reimbursed?
I'm not following you on that.
If we use a different system, such as a daily kind of receipt you were talking about, if the employer isn't willing to purchase a monthly pass, how does the employee know that they're going to get reimbursed on a daily basis?
So we did, as Sean said, as we looked at the daily passes and daily receipts, we didn't consider those viable options for a lot of reasons. One, it's a lot of paperwork. If you're going to assume that on an average month there's 20 working days in a run in the morning and the afternoon, that's 80 receipts that someone would have to have.
Yeah.
So one, we didn't think that was viable. So while we considered those, we're not going to recommend those.
Right.
What we are going to recommend is a single monthly pass that we would sell and be able to stamp. In our conversations with the employers and the employees, they both indicated that that's similar to what other agencies use and would be something that they would be reimbursed for. So if the employees want to buy it directly and then seek reimbursement through the employer, that's an option. If some of the employers want to buy them directly from us, we would certainly be willing to support that as well.
Sure. Okay.
So in the packet, we provided a couple examples of some of the monthly passes and kind of what those cards would say. On the backs of the card, they would let the passenger know that it was valid for only 1 month punched. So that way the operator would know if it's got a double punch in it, it's voided at that time. Also that the pass is not transferable. And it's valid for trips only on the 412 fixed route, so they're not trying to use it anywhere else throughout the system. And that the pass may be inspected upon demand, just in case we had some issues where we thought that maybe someone was trying to duplicate a pass. We looked at a couple of different options with the passes. We can go out to print for those passes, and this is working with Everett Transit with the kind of passes that they're using, kind of a flexible plastic card, so it hold up to the weather over the month. And those were about 65 cents a card to purchase those, as well as we also looked at the capability of printing in-house. And even since we talked on Friday, we think we may be able to do it still. We're trying to get it down with the machine we have. It's not set up for that at this time. But if we can print them in-house, then they're about 6 cents a card. And so we're still playing around with that. Hopefully we'll have a definite answer on that by the end of the day with the cards.
If we can't do it in-house, the turnaround for a business is about 3 to 5 days to be able to produce quantities of 100 or so. So again, 65 cents a card. That we have, I think, a couple of viable options either in-house or getting something to print for us that would certainly support. And I think at this point we probably start with July. because our first full month of service is July, but we're going to start the service next Monday, the 20th, and really only have a week left in June.
So our recommendation would be the in-house monthly pass, and that Island Transit, again, would sell the monthly passes only at the Camino facility and provide a receipt. We did talk about other ways to get out maybe and promote, those passes when we first start the system up. Maybe by getting out and riding the bus and letting people know about the passes, and maybe providing them with an opportunity in the first few weeks to get those passes. And so the benefit of the in-house monthly pass would be that we would receive the monthly fare and it'd be paid in advance. So let them worry about what days they're riding. If you think the pass is for you and you buy the pass, that obviously you're going to use it during that month for more days than not. We'd have better accountability over the distribution of the passes, and it'd be the least costly method of distribution. And again, as Mike stated, it'd be a 3 to 5 day expectation for those passes to be printed and received. So that's a pretty quick turnaround. So whatever the board decides, we would be in a position, if we are going to go with the passes, to get those passes rather quickly.
So one thing Sean didn't talk about in the brief is, as we looked at establishing kind of a price for that pass was, again, we looked at every month will have a minimum of 20 service days in it, February being our shortest month. Some months will have a few more than that, obviously, but instead of trying to calculate it by month, again, assuming they're going to ride the transit, the commuter route there and back from work, largely we're talking about Everett workers, 20 times $4 a day, so it would be an $80 monthly pass. We didn't look at reducing that fare because at this point, really, again, the purpose of this is to allow employers to reimburse employees for the use of that service that they're already going to use. So $80 was the price that we would recommend. And just in recap, I think this is something that's reasonable. It's very low cost for us, and I think we can start that out with the month of July, and then give us about a week or so at the end of this month as we kick off that service to kind of promote it, let the riders know that it is something that will be available in July. And then I think we'll be able to assess in July and August, the first couple of months, really the demand, and if we need to either expand or look at other options for the service.
Now, the pass, excuse me.
No, I just was saying I like it.
The pass system, is it to make it convenient for the rider, or is it to provide an accounting system for reimbursement?
Really the latter, sir. Really to provide an accounting system, a receipt for them to provide an employer. However, it does, I wouldn't say convenience, it does expedite unloading of passengers.
Right.
It'd be easy for the driver if they just show the card and move on, it'd be quicker.
Then I have some other questions on here too. I don't want to spend more money than $2 a ride to do the accounting. I mean, that's like backwards. It has to be a system that moves forward as inexpensively as possible. So the monthly pass, for example, if I bought a monthly pass, I could hand it off to my neighbors. Do you have any concern about that as opposed to having a punch card where people come on and they have a recognized card that has a validation stamp on it, regardless of whether it's for the month or it's for a number of riders? Let's say it's a $100 ticket and it has, so many punches on there. I don't care if it's 40 days or 50, whatever the amount is. But that way, people who are not working, going every month, maybe they get sick and they're going on vacation or something like that, and their card expires at the end of the month. Would it be practical to have the driver punch those cards?
We have to look at, I think, the structure of the card. Certainly the card that we proposed only has kind of a punch for the month on it. We didn't look at a daily punch on it. Could we do that? Certainly an option, I guess. I guess we didn't think it was much of a risk in that we're only running 4 runs, really 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. So really the opportunity for somebody to pass that card off and have someone else abuse the system, pretty low risk.
Yeah.
Is there potential that employees not going to use it for a week because they're on vacation, sick, or otherwise, and potentially pay for fares that they're not going to use. Yes, but really, again, the intent of this was to allow them to have a method to have the employer reimburse them. So again, both those were considered low risk.
So what if people want to buy a card who are not going to get reimbursed? They just want to have a card instead of carrying cash with them all the time.
So they would still have that option, they just wouldn't get reimbursed.
Yeah.
So all we're providing is really a methodology for them to have a monthly pass and a receipt that they can apply to the employer.
Well, it's easier for them too, because whether they give it to their employer or not, they don't have to worry about, do I have my $2? I think it's easier for the driver, it's easier for the passenger, it's easier for the reimbursement. It's kind of a win-win all the way around, yeah.
I heard from many people that weren't using it for employment. They were talking about going to the doctor visit or whatever, but the convenience of just having a pass, something you could put on sort of around your neck or whatever, and one of those little clear things and say, here. I think the opportunity for abuse is slim to none because you only have 2 runs in the morning and 2 runs in the afternoon, and it would take an extreme amount of clever manipulation to get it. And in all reality, it's a pass for a month's use. So if I'm not using it today and I give it to you, it still doesn't matter. That ride has been paid for because we're paying for 40 runs. So.
I like it.
I just have one question. Was there any consideration to perhaps the 9 days that remain in June, that we get the information out to the public saying that the board has decided to start this effective July, so I guess, what is July 1st, a Friday? I think it was. Anyhow, assuming it was Friday.
It is.
It would be 9 days of handing out to each person, and after the second or third day, yeah, I got it, and I know we're gonna have. So this would prepare them to, actually speak to their employer or purchase the pass themselves. And I think it would show some consideration to the public that they get ample and adequate notice that this is when it's gonna begin, that the board has waived these 9 days, it was going to begin in June 20th, and makes heroes out of it.
Well, no, the fairs are still going to start June 20th.
Yeah.
Well, that's what my point was, does it have to start on the 20th
Yes.
of June?
You cannot give a ride without a fare.
No, what I'm saying, is it mandatory for us to begin, or is it an option to begin on June 20th or July 1st?
It is mandatory that we charge a fare for us to run that run.
On June 20th?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, we've already, so I think to answer your
Yeah.
question, if you're asking about the service itself, we've already promoted and we have a ribbon cutting ceremony set for the 20th, so the service will start at the 20th.
Right.
We haven't made any promises to the public in regards to the monthly pass, and we're just trying to come up with a reasonable answer, I think.
And the reason I was asking is it would give, once we've made these decisions, that it would give the public that's using the service adequate time to prepare for, the implementation.
No, I think that's a great idea. We'll certainly with the operators there, assuming we get approval for a monthly pass, we would certainly look at the opportunity on the 20th to start letting our riders know that that's an option out there. Whether it's a flyer we can hand out to them, something certainly we'll post in the vehicles themselves to make the public aware, and then we'll announce it via social media as well. So you're right, I mean, we do need to promote it and make sure that they're aware of the service that's out there.
And not everyone will use a pass, obviously.
Right.
Because some people are just going once or twice a month, so they'll still be paying in cash.
Yeah, I understand all that.
Yeah.
I'm still not clear. Don't say, like you answered it the way I wanted you to answer it, but I'm not hearing that we can get this information out to the public and have it become effective July 1st. And you just keep answering me that we've got to start it on June 20th.
What are you asking?
Hold on. Little parliamentary procedure here. Address your questions to the chair, and Mr. Nortier will answer the questions right now. We're not doing back and forth answering. It'll be a board decision.
I'm just trying to get an answer on whether it can be implemented on July 1st, or must it begin on June 20th?
Okay, the answer to that was, Mr. Nortier gave us the answer. The board already decided that we are going to start charging on the 20th. That's the position we're in right now.
But so the board can't change it to begin on July?
Well, there would have to be a motion to change that.
Now I got it.
So is your question like run a promotional period where there'd be no fare collect? I think that's your question, isn't it? Up until then?
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah. And as the motions, the actions that have been taken now, we would have to have another special meeting to do that. You could do that under the question would be, the fare policy has been set, effective whatever, June 20th. And to do that, to change that, we want to make sure that there was a consideration for not collecting fares on that, and you could do that for our marketing purpose. But to do that, you would have to do another special meeting to change that action, which unfortunately, under the rules of the Open Public Meetings Act, we can't do that on the fly today because that wasn't on the agenda today.
Thank you.
Now, the board could do that with proper notice and all that, because I think there would be a marketing purpose. I think your point is well taken of, get this on the radar, but as situated right now, it would take another meeting. So.
And Lance, we're missing 2 board members right now, which could change the tendency of the decision, but we're not in there.
You can't make that decision today.
Okay.
Yeah, just.
All right, that clarifies it, thank you.
And the closer we're getting
Our
closer.
public hearing, I understand.
Any other comments, any other questions about this, any recommendations? There is a motion that is printed here, a recommended motion. Any further discussion? Would you like to make a motion?
I would move to update the Route 412 fare collection policy and authorize the sale of monthly passes for use on the Route 412.
I will second.
And there's a motion by Ms. Henderson, a second by Mr. Hanold to move to update the Route 412 fare collection policy and authorize the sale of monthly passes for use on the Route 412. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Next item on our agenda is the upgrade of the DBE FY 2016-2019 program. And there's information in our package from that.
We just got it today. Okay.
So the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program is a federally mandated program to comply with regulations, part of the Code of Federal Regulations. And certainly it's directly attributed to funds that you receive from the FTA greater than $250,000, but that's exclusive of vehicle replacements. So State of Good Repair, the contract that we had for the building that we're sitting in now, would be an example of a contract that would apply for that program. So those are the reasons you have to have a Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. Now, that being said, we could say that there isn't necessarily a requirement that Island Transit would have that. We don't have any grants right now that would cross that threshold, but it's a best practice and certainly something that we are going to do to maintain a Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. So that's kind of a real brief snapshot of why we have that program. It's a triennial program, so something that we'll review and update every 3 years. So the program, as we've updated it, we did have one in the past. It's been updated and the draft was presented to you this morning. That has been reviewed by both our legal counsel, Matt Hendricks, and also by Washington State Department of Transportation. It's consistent with the Code of Federal Regulations in Washington State. What Washington State does for us is they manage an Office of Minority and Women's Business Enterprises that maintains a list statewide of those disadvantaged businesses or minority businesses. That's a fairly extensive list. We have kind of filtered that down to a smaller subcategory, really looking at 4 counties: Island County, Muscatine County, Snohomish County, and Whatcom County. And certainly our region, areas that we might have interest in the future of providing contracts or studies. So that list has not been provided to you. We can provide you a request, but it's a fairly long list. That would be the 3rd appendix to the draft program. in setting this program, one of the goals is to kind of define a percentage that you have for either prime contractors or subprimes to provide to disadvantaged business enterprises or minority business enterprises. At the federal level, they recommend a percentage of 10%. However, they also recognize that you need to take into effect your local and regional businesses and the environment that you will be operating in. So you have a couple of options underneath that program. One, you can do your own goal setting, and they give you a methodology for doing that. Or in our case, what we decided to do, because we don't have any specific projects right now, is we took the Washington State Department of Transportation methodology they did for the entire state of Washington, which set a goal of 3.26% for either prime or subprime contracts for disadvantaged business enterprises. So again, the goal is both aspirational and kind of an obligation on our part. We will certainly try in our efforts as we do contracting largely for construction. Again, it's outside of vehicle purchases. To look at opportunities to make sure that we include those disadvantaged business enterprises in our bidding opportunities and give them an opportunity to seek those contracts. Doesn't necessarily mean that we have to choose them. It certainly comes back to our criteria of picking the lowest bidder, but certainly we'll reach out to them and we have done that. Part of that effort in this establishing or updating this program is to do a 30-day notice in consultation with the public. So on May 20th, we published a press release, and that's been in a number of local papers, regional papers out there. We've received one comment to date from a disadvantaged business enterprise in Snohomish County. They wanted us to make sure that they had a partner business that was also identified by the state as a disadvantaged business enterprise that we would include in the future. So that's the only comment that we've received so far. We've also posted it on social media, on our Facebook site. So we'll wait for that to conclude, that 30-day period to conclude. But essentially from here, we would expect at the end of the month, providing no other unforeseen circumstances or feedback, is that we would propose this at the end of the month as our new DB program for consideration and approval at the 27th meeting of the board. Very good. Pending any questions, is what I had for you, an update on the disadvantaged business enterprise program.
Yeah, this is a non-action or no action today, just information only, so. Actually, I think we had this presented to us online. I've read this thing before.
I've sent it to you.
Yeah.
Right.
We sent it.
Okay, any other questions for staff or council? That concludes all of the items that we have on this agenda. The next meeting will be June 27, right here at 9:30, and then there's a possible workshop on Monday, July 11. Is that confirmed? It's going to be July 11, for sure? Okay.
The date's been confirmed. We haven't identified the agenda yet. So
Okay, all right. And for the record, I will not be able to be here on the 11th, so you'll be here for the original. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Just real quickly, just a question. Monday morning, we're meeting at the parking lot, correct? The ribbon cutting?
That's correct. Terry's Corner.
Yeah, I'm going to come up there with Dave. All right. It's all at Terry's Corner parking lot.
Terry's Corner.
Oh, okay. That's
Good to know.
yeah, because I was thinking Stanwood parking lot, because actually the 412 originates there and then comes in through. Okay. Very
So
good.
I just had a question, did you get quite a number of people at the public hearings over there, at the meetings on Coupeville?
At the meeting itself, I think we had about 12 folks.
Yeah.
We got a number of comments online in addition to the public meeting. And then the survey responses, Sean, I would say, were greater than 100 from communities.
Wow, so
Get a
they're
lot.
excited, they're
Yes.
pleased that it's coming, good.
The biggest concern I think that we had from Camino was not the charging of a fare, but the ability to buy a pass in advance. And I think you've shown that. I mean, it's going to be inexpensive, very simple. It's something most people, especially when they're going to work, they have an ID card or something for work. They can just put their little pass in there too. They got their clear card, say, got it. And we have the fare in advance in the bank. It's less money the driver has to carry or deal with. It's a win.
Cool.
Okay,
I move we adjourn.
Second.
and there's a motion to adjourn and a second, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned, thank you. Good meeting, short meeting,
Barcode on it.
good comments, Lance.
Ooh.
Deterrence for people looking for photocopiers. You might not have that problem on a commuter with an adult router. Yeah, just some dummy thing, yeah.
That looks exactly like.
Exactly, so they, yeah, okay. Something like that.
How was it?
One of these, Verizon.
Oh,
She's still floating around, it was good on that. It is. Yeah, actually, just, my seats are hopefully are calmer now than the last couple of months.
I think they have aspirational.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because they come in.